Well, welcome everyone to our first speaker series of the semester. This interest area is business. And so our first speaker, we have Zaid Dabor.
Zia.
Ziad, sorry. Ziad Dabor, sorry.
It's very clear.
Ziad Dabor. Very interesting story. Entrepreneur, started several companies. And so being the business interest area, I'm pretty sure you guys want to start your own companies and lead your own companies. And so we're going to ask him about his experience, his journey, and what could you do to, start on that path. So can you share with what you're currently doing?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me here. It was really an honor to comment and share my experience with you, and I hope that it's as beneficial as I can get. So currently, I'm actually I don't have not holding any full-time job, but I spend most of my time advising, mentoring, some investments, early stage investments, small investments into early stage startup companies. Mainly engineers who have an idea, smart engineers, and they have an idea, or they came up with a prototype or a product, and they want to take it to market because they think, hey, this can be a big thing, but they have no idea what it takes to go to market, financing it, funding it, marketing, positioning, understanding the marketing message, the sales cycles, building a team, hiring, the legal aspects of it, and so they're pretty much at a state where they have the innovation, and I'm basically trying to help them take that into a business, into a company, full-fledged, take it to market.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a lot going from conceptualizing, whatever it is, to the consumer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, typically, and I had the same background. I'm a software engineer, by major and training, and I worked at Oracle for like 6-7 years, and I've held several positions, technical consulting and development and support, and so been around the block. Some of it is customer facing, some of it is internal engineering work, and I thought I knew it all. I thought I'm a guru. Just to realize once you really step out of the technical engineering aspect of it, I have really no clue what it takes to do the marketing or talk to customers or doing sales or even the legal aspects of it, even setting up the proper legal structure. And if you have founders and partners, how do you even set up this properly where people don't fight at the end of the day? So it's a lot of work to basically setting up a business. It starts with the obvious, the innovation or the technical knowledge or the idea, and eventually the technical aspect of it ends up being probably 10 or 20% of the business, and the 80% or even 90% is really just how you can run the business successfully to be successful.
So before you went on your own, so you said you majored in computer science. What was that? That was local here?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Kuwait. I'm originally Palestinian, Jordanian. My parents moved to Kuwait the 50s. So was born there, raised, finished high school in 1984. And after high school, I couldn't really get enrolled in any colleges in that part of the world. Kuwait, because I'm not a Kuwaiti citizen, I didn't have the priorities. And in Jordan, because I didn't live locally and I didn't have the priority was for the local, people. So, so I had a dilemma. And my brother was actually going to school here at USF, and I wasted like the fall of 1984 looking for colleges. I didn't really have luck. And then eventually asked my brother here to apply for me, and I got enrolled at San Francisco State. So I came here in February 1985. I had no idea where I'm heading or what I'm doing. The only thing I knew about, it was like a new field called computer science. That's an emerging thing. And I was good at math. Math and physics was like my strength in school. And I said, yeah, let me try this computer science thing. And never touched a computer in my life before. It was like back in the 80s. Very minimum access. So started with that at SF State, and we had access to a prime operating system, like a mainframe timeshare thing. It was very, very painful to get access to a machine. So, and I was wondering, what the heck did I do? What is this major that nobody knows about? Nothing. There's no, facilities where there's nothing where you can, they give you an assignment and then you have to go sign up in the lab, and you'll get like maybe lucky if you get an hour. It's a timeshare. You have a long wait time. Literally, you have to be in the lab, wait for that hour. So you have an hour to do your assignments, and if you don't get the program running, guess what? Now you have to find another slot some time. Luckily, things improved rapidly after the first year, and I really started to enjoy it, and I was probably lucky enough to have really good professors who kind of encouraged me. And they saw my potential, even though I was really struggling. And literally, my first CS professor, first assignment, I got like 1 out of 10. And I said, okay, forget it. Okay, now I'm gonna focus on next assignment. I'm gonna, do really good. And it was like just a hello world, just like writing one line of code that says hello world. I got 1 out of 10 in that one. The next assignment was like, maybe 2 lines. And I really worked hard on it, that I got like 1.5 out of 10. At that time, I said, oh man, this is not for me. So literally, I took my withdrawal form. I went to him, I told him I want to drop the class. And he was surprised. Even though at that time, like half the class already dropped. And I went to him, I told him I want to drop the class. He said, hey, why are you dropping? I said, look at my assignments. I'm having a hard time here. He said, no, but your quizzes, your math is really good. You really understand the stuff. Just stay in, and come to my office hours more often. It's like, okay, that's encouraging. And I used to go to him with 1 question, and I'll come out with 5 other questions. So it was, and at the time I didn't really know, I didn't understand what he was trying to do. But by the end of the semester, I really appreciated all his effort and all his work. So, and since then it was, history. I really continued, and I took a couple of other classes with him. And for the intro classes that he was teaching, whenever he is like sick or he's not able to attend, he used to have me sub for him. So So it was a great, experience there, so.
So I guess the takeaway from that is go to office hours. Get to
Um,
know, get to know your instructors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes, and then I came to learn from my other colleagues that this was the toughest instructor in CS. And and he was tough, no question. But I think it was for a good reason. I mean, he really wants you to learn the stuff the right way and make sure you understand the foundations of the concepts and the basics versus you're just trying to get an A and, get away, with an easy A in a class.
Right.
So, so sometimes you hear, some tough professors, but, my experience, man, that's where you really learn the most.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing easy. I mean, you have to pay your dues and, to learn the stuff. And all that stuff really paid off significantly after graduation, even though, at the time I didn't know SF State, Berkeley, Stanford, and all these, I didn't even know what those schools are. But after graduation, I started with Oracle, and people were surprised, like, how did you get into Oracle? Because Oracle only hires from Ivy League and Tier 1 schools. And they said, hey, they must have passed all their interviews for them to let somebody from like a public school or stage school to join. So sometimes, hard work, pays off. So luckily, and sometimes you do what you need to do. And a little bit of luck, sometimes helps. So.
All right. So then let me ask, so you're at Oracle now. Did you like what you were doing for Oracle? Because you were there for 6 years before you went out on your own. And so did you learn? I mean, was there something that you did at Oracle that just inspired you, like, oh, you know what, I could do this on my own? I mean,
yeah. So, and that's actually what I'm telling my kids. I have 3 other daughters who also graduated in different roles. And what I'm telling them, even though sometimes they might not necessarily be getting the best salaries or most convenient locations, and what I'm telling them, I mean, especially in the first couple of years, think of these jobs as extended educations where you're getting paid to really learn the stuff. Because as hard as I was working at school, when I really went to work in the real world, and we realized how much little we really know and the amount of knowledge and experience that you get after, a few years of working in a real company with real customers, with real problems. So I would say, be a little bit humble. If you have an opportunity to actually work for a company, especially established company, these are the best companies to learn the most. Don't necessarily look at compensations as the main factor. You really need to look, how much are you able to grow and learn out of that experience. And luckily enough, for a company like Oracle, it was big enough where I was able to move in like 4 different groups, 4 different teams. And every team has a different type of, set of challenges, whether technical challenges, cultural, challenges, technical issues, the tasks, the requirements, the experience are different. So, so being able to work with customers, being able to work with engineers internally, being able to work in consulting. My last role at Oracle was consulting, where actually we used to go at customer sites and work with them, implement the Oracle technology products in there. And now you are no longer really within the Oracle, framework. You're now, all of a sudden an employee of that other company you're working with. And it's interesting to see how different companies operate, even though they're all in Silicon Valley, they're all here in the area. So that actually gave me the opportunity to work with a handful of different companies and gave me an idea and an exposure how different companies treating their employees, which ones are better, which ones are good, which ones, working cultures, the commitments, the interactions, the communications, the technology that they're using, the products that they're working on. So it gave me really a great sense of, perspectives of different, so it was, I think during these 6-7 years, I built a great sort of experience in both in the technical and interacting with customers, understanding their problems. Because the customers you go to, they have a different problems, and they are, since you are a consultant and probably Oracle is charging an arm and a leg for my time, they just assume you're a god and you're gonna, solve all their problems. So that's the expectations they have of me. And now all of a sudden I have, this pressure to solve these issues for them. And luckily, was able to. So, and, build good reputations in the space. So that was a good thing about it. The frustrating part of it is working with a big company is, dealing with the bureaucracy and the politics and trying to get things done the way you want. I mean, because now after some time we start developing these ideas and potential solutions or problems, but now you get stuck with politics and bureaucracy, and it's like now you are being limited on the things that you can do, and hit a certain limit where I was kind of really frustrated that led me to leave Oracle and start my own practice. And that was the beginning. It wasn't necessarily a strategy to go, build startup companies or anything. It's like, okay, I think I have a lot of ideas that I can do, and I just want to be able to go work on them.
So real quick, you guys can ask questions as we speak. We don't have to wait till the end. So if you guys have questions, please feel free. And those of you online as well, if you have questions, type it in the Q&A box. So, okay. So now let's continue. The environment in Oracle has changed. You decided to go on your own. So when you made that decision, I mean, was there do you have a plan? Because like you said, right now you consult and people are like, yeah, I want to do this. And you're like, you're missing a whole lot of other things. Did you have understanding prior to launching your own? Or
Not really. I had a little bit of an idea, but by no means, to where things ended up being at. And sometimes all you have to do is just start with something, and then things will open up, and other things that you never thought of, other opportunities will come up that you never thought of. So to give an example, so I started as an independent consultant on my own. And previously I had kind of developed this, connections and reputations of, with other companies that I worked with. And they started knowing, and people move around. It's like, your colleagues, you work on a project at this company, and then when the project is over, people go, move around into different other companies. And I guess having good reputation pays off big time. And the word basically came out that, hey, this guy is no longer with Oracle and he does this, he's a freelancer type of thing. So initially I landed a contract with one company but shortly after I started getting requests from other companies that say, hey, we have this problem, can you help us? I was like, okay, maybe I can do a few hours after hours, weekends, whatever. And then also I started getting pinged by other colleagues at Oracle and other companies, and they said, hey, well, I'm ready to leave, I'm fed up, can I join you? I said, okay. You can join. And it's like unintentional. I started getting requests from customers, and I'm getting requests really from colleagues that I worked with, I trust, and I know their capabilities. And I said, and I'm in the middle here, and it's like, okay, that's easy thing. I'll just, hire this person and place them on this project. And then, other colleagues that said, hey, we want to join you as, maybe make this a company instead of just a one-man show. And then we started, an LLC, two other colleagues. And before we know it, we have like 20 employees working at like 5 other companies. Totally organic. I mean, this is like, wasn't even planned. I mean, it was like just people, contacting you and either they're looking for help or people who are looking for, to join you as employees. So after a while I said, oh, okay, let's step back. It seems like there's probably a business opportunity here. So to actually maybe take this to the next level. And software was always my passion. So I was, whenever I have time on weekends and evenings, I was also working on some prototypes as product. Because professional services, it's time, work for hire. Basically, there's so many hours and you can only bill that many hours. There's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a maximum you can do. However, products, it's a slightly different business model. It needs a lot of investments upfront. But once you actually have something, you can pretty much sell it infinite number of times and actually leverage the time that was put in initially. Services, consulting, the nice thing is you work for a week or a month and then you send a bill and you get paid. So there's not much risk in that business model. Product, you probably need to invest for a few years, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and hoping somebody will end up buying the product. So I always had that product idea on the side, and because of the services business, we already had contacts at multiple customers, and we said, hey, do you guys think might have a use of this product? And again, this is like zero cost of sales and marketing. This is all organic stuff. And we were able actually to have a few customers buying the product. So now all of a sudden it's not just a professional services consulting company. Now it's actually, we have also a product. And then, the dot-com bubble hit. I don't know if you remember that. And pretty much all the services business came to a halt pretty much overnight. And luckily, we had the product pretty much with a handful of customers as reference for us. And we started, okay, well, we had like 20 or so employees. We said, okay, well, move those employees from being consultants, now make them engineers, work on the product. And we actually kind of almost overnight converted from a services company to a product company. Luckily, we're talking to VCs and some investors, and we were able to get $10 million Series A funding for the product. They said, oh, okay, now we see you, you're not just service company and now you're a product company. Okay, we see the potential.
Just real quick, so for the younger audience, can you explain to them the .com?
Oh, oh. Um, oh, so in the late nineties, the internet came up. And just like how this AI and maybe crypto a few years ago, actually very similar to the AI hype that we're going through now, where all you have to say, just spell AI in your company name, and you are valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. It was insane. So in the 90s, that's when the internet came up and the browser started to actually become functional. And there were all these internet companies. All you have to do just put a website and have a company name and literally go IPO in 6 months and be valued at bazillions of dollars for absolutely nothing. I mean, some of them were legitimate companies, but the vast majority were really literally nothing. Just a fancy website. Okay, so what's a business proposition? But it was a massive hype, and like 2000 was the bubble burst, and people realized, oh, these companies actually have no income, no revenue. They are not profitable. They are burning cash left and right, and it's like, okay, and and there was actually some other scams going on where the same investment firms, they actually had marketing arms that they were, pump and dump type of thing, where they were actually creating all this marketing bubble around these companies. And people would believe it. And these are, IPO, they're, in the NASDAQ, and people will just pay hundreds of dollars for these stocks. And then people realized, hey, all this propaganda is nothing. And then once that became public, all these companies pretty much went bust. And all the investors, all the people who put all these, hundreds of millions of dollars into them, it's going to be went bust. And there was actually a SEC regulation that was added, where if you are an investment firm, you cannot have a PR or a marketing firm, and basically try to avoid this kind of phenomenon again. Anyways.
Yeah. So that's what that is. The bubble bursts, or you hear the .com, bubble. That's what we're referring to.
Yeah. Just like the deep sea last week, for example. You have all these AI companies raising billions and billions of dollars in funding, and now you have a company, China, saying, "Hey, I was able to do this for a few $1 million." And what are you guys talking about? It's like, and $1 trillion worth of valuation gone in one day. It's a similar kind of phenomena we had back in the mid 90s.
It's still happening. Hence, last week, people, tend to forget.
Yeah, and same thing with the crypto. A few years back, it was a hype. Eventually, people lost a lot of money. It's interesting. History repeats itself.
Yeah. So you gotta be a smart investor.
Absolutely. You need to really look at the value, look at investments to see, okay, look at the fundamentals, because at the end of the day, fundamentals will hold. If they have a profitable company that actually have a real business, they're generating revenue, they're actually making some sort of a product, a service that's adding value and they're making profit, then, yeah, I mean, you'll go through the economic, cycles. But companies with real value will survive. The ones who are just based on speculations will pretty much vanish during these cycles.
Okay. So continue on with your story or your journey. So the first company, like you said, it was pretty organic, pieces started to fall into place.
Right.
So with that, you moved on to something else. You become your own company,
Right.
or sorry, product. You're producing a product now.
Right.
So did you feel at that point, oh, you know what? I can continue doing this. I mean,
Yeah. So what happens? The first company, again, because we didn't really know what we were doing. We were just reacting to market needs. And we had a couple of investors, dangling a check for $10 million in front of our eyes, and it's like, okay, well, where do we sign? We had no clue, we had no idea what we are, signing up with. I mean, again, the bunch of techies right now, running a business, and it's like, hey, $10 million. We never imagined we can actually get this much money ever. So they ended up actually putting some terms in there that we didn't understand what they meant. Now, we came to understand this when the company was acquired. So after that, we went through multiple funding rounds, Series A, Series B, C, and then the board and the investor said, hey, we need, okay, you guys are a bunch of techies. Okay, we need to bring in professional management to maybe take the company public or maybe get it acquired. Or, it's like, okay, we said, okay, maybe they know better than us. Unfortunately, it's didn't work well in terms like the professional management didn't really know that much more than we did, or they had their own agenda, they had their own ideas. Now, luckily, we were able to attract one of the competitors. In that case, was HP, because we were stealing their customers, we were beating them in deals, and eventually they said, okay, well, it's easier for us to just buy you and remove you out of the market. So okay, good. So we thought that, hey, okay, now we made big bucks, and just to realize that the VCs took most of the money because of the preferences they had in their terms when we raised the money. They had, okay, they take 3x their initial investments before, founders and, common shares start to, get anything. And it was a very expensive, art lessons at the time. And I wish we had something like this actually back then, where there was some mentor or somebody who had this experience to at least help us or identify or give us some guidance and how to negotiate these things. It's literally, we were just flying blind. So these kind of setups are really, probably people don't necessarily appreciate it as much as it should be, but some of the lessons you learn here, it could save you millions of dollars potentially. So the first company was a massive learning curve.
It's like a record deal. It's just like, you do the singing, we keep all the, future proceeds and the rights to the song.
So it was okay overall, but not as much as we were hoping. But live and learn.
Right. So we do have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
The question is, what challenges did you face, if any, as an immigrant in this country in your journey thus far? So you're going through, you go through your education, you're, getting into this business, getting into industry and then starting your business, um,
Luckily, being like in the Bay Area as immigrant coming in, I wouldn't say I had any issues really work or my professional career. Now I had challenges where traveling halfway across the globe into a new country, new culture, new language, new everything. I mean, that was a major, I was 18, 19 years old at the time, just high school kid. To make that adjustment and getting into, a CS, a computer science major, that's still people trying to figure out what it is. I mean, literally, it was just being introduced as at SF State. And actually, we used to even go to the department where the professors are, and it all says mathematics. I mean, there wasn't even a computer science formal department. It was still it was an offshoot from the mathematics department, and they said, okay, we'll make this look like it's a CS major. So. Definitely, the combination of all these things, of, the language, the culture, that was probably the biggest challenge that I kind of really needed to just go through the adjustments with it. As far as the business side of things, again, Bay Area, I mean, as immigrants, you feel home. I mean, I know, it wasn't really an issue. I didn't face any problems or challenges just because, well, where I came from. I mean, it was a lot of it technical challenges. People, especially, in Bay Area, I mean, are great, helpful, if anything. I mean, all the people I worked with, they're super, super helpful.
All right, so we have another question. What would you recommend to comprise a good business team? So, like how you went off on your own, things kind of fell into place. But someone, you're like, I got this idea. I want to venture out. What would you recommend? Like, ideal team for you to attack this new venture? What would you?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it was with all the challenges for me. I ended up doing a second and then doing a third startup. And another set of mistakes, another set of problems, challenges. But if I had the chance to do this all over again, I'll do it at a heartbeat. No regrets there. And I recommend everybody to really, especially, hey, you're in Silicon Valley, right? I mean, any part of the world, this is the place for you to take your shot. The thing is, you need to start with the idea, with the innovation, with the creative solutions or the value add. I mean, you need to have something in mind where it's actually solving a real problem or filling a gap, and where people or your customer would be willing to pay you money to buy this product from you, whatever that product is. And usually, especially in science, STEM majors, I mean, they're probably engineers and, super focused on technical aspect of things. I would say settings like this, where you are actually, and the startup club, by the way, they're inviting a lot of great speakers. Probably people do not necessarily appreciate the value of what those guests are actually bringing in to the table. Get surrounded by, mentors, advisors. If you have co-founders, if you are alone, it's tough. But you need some people that can add value. The people you trust. And maybe having 2 or 3 people will make things much easier for you. Understand what it takes. Understand your limitations. Humble yourself a little bit. Even though sometimes you might think, "Hey, I know it all," and understand. There's a big gap between just having the product or the idea and building a business around it. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. There's some legal aspects of it. There's a funding aspect of it. Okay, I mean, if you really want to make it a commercial product, there's a lot of work that needs to go into it. You want to make sure you don't stop short because lack of funding, and understand your market, understand your competition. People sometimes they say, "Oh, there's a competition in here, or there's a competitor." That's sometimes actually a good thing, because having a competitor there, that means, oh, there's market. Okay, and instead of being scared from having a competitor, let's understand the differentiation that I'm bringing on top of what this competitor has. Can I do it in a more competitive pricing? Can I actually provide a better service? Can I actually have more functionality or features? So doing that kind of research, market research, in terms of competitions, in terms of who would pay for this product, whom will you be selling this product to? Do they know they have a problem? Are they willing to pay, to buy this product to solve that problem? So, and I know, and I'm speaking out of my own experience as a technical guy, these things sound like, no-brainers. I mean, ignore them, but in business, these are actually very, very critical pieces to understand what we call product market fit. Whatever you could be working on a very cool technology, but if it's not really solving a problem or benefiting anybody meaningfully, I mean, it's okay, for you, it's cool. Okay, nobody's arguing it's not a cool thing, but can you really build a business out of it?
Right.
And that's really one of the biggest challenge. I mean, all these aspects of building a company and having advisors and mentors, it probably as simple as having this kind of setups and talking to and listening to people who've done this kind of stuff before and what kind of problems and mistakes they've done can really help you quite a bit.
I mean, we had a question.
So when you figure out what product you want to solve and you figure out the market you want to target, how exactly do you go about that? Like, for example, do you give your product and let people test it out? Or do you provide them like a little snapshot of what it is? Like, how do you show it to customers? Or how do you?
So the biggest problem, number one problem, any business, is figuring out the market. That's even more important than the technical aspect of it. Is somebody interested in buying your product? And they understand the value of it. I would start, from the very end. Is you start from, whatever, assuming I'm building this product and I have a product ready. Can I sell it? would there be anybody interested in buying this product? Once you have that answer, understanding how big is this market? Is this one customer, two customers? Is this $1 billion market? Is this $100 million market? What's the potential of that product? And then you work backward. Okay, what does it take to take this product to market in terms of engineering, in terms of QA, in terms of documentations, in terms of sales, marketing, channels, pricing, and then building this whole company around it to basically be able to get it to that status. For engineering, you hire your own engineering, you do outsourcing, you build it here, you do remote teams, you do whatever. I mean, those are, relatively speaking, are easier problems to tackle once you understand that there is actually a market for it. Because the last thing you want to do is you invest years and millions of dollars into a product, and then you take it to the market and nobody's interested in it. That's just a waste of time and money. I'd rather sell something I don't have, but make sure there's, customers for it, and then go, figure out how to build. That's at least, assuming you know what you're doing. You have the team, you have the process, the methodology, the experience to do it. That's, relatively speaking, is easier problem because of, there are many companies who have products, have teams, they have everything, they have funding, and they're struggling sales.
So, we're gonna wrap this up. So always ask this question. What piece of advice, because you said a lot, you said, but you dropped, some gems in this, work hard, have good reputation, need to know, what people want. So what advice would you impart to our students? Because, they're at the beginning,
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, definitely starting your company, starting your business is anybody who has that vision, I think definitely should pursue. Okay. And if there's any place on the world, it's probably here. That doesn't mean it's easy, and you need to do, your homework. The great things, you have a lot of people that probably can help you and mentor you through that. Okay. Before you start, especially, techies or science people who have a lot of passion, building new stuff, which is great. I mean, you need that passion. But then very quickly validate that whatever idea product that you're working on, does it really have a market? Does it have a buyer? What benefit to not to you? I mean, maybe, and I've done this all the time. I mean, I'm like an engineer and I'm very passionate about the product that you are working on, and I just keep adding and building, and the customers don't necessarily see it that way. I mean, they're saying, the funny thing, I had almost on the three companies, we built the core big products where they're making the big bucks on, okay, where a lot of engineering work on. And we usually build, some tools on the side that we don't really care much about. And surprisingly enough, customers ended up really wanted this small piece that we're not paying attention to, because they say, oh, well, we like this. It's like, but you guys should really look into this. It's, that's boring stuff. This is really the fun stuff we need. So listening to customers, listening to the market, is very important. Whatever you're working on, other than you engineering, passion, from a market perspective, is there interest, is there value? Is it really solving a problem for these, target customers? Whoever your target customers, whom are you gonna be selling this to? Are you gonna be selling it to companies? You're gonna be selling it to individuals? Even within these companies, are you gonna be selling it to the IT department? Are you gonna be selling it to supply chain VP? Are you gonna be selling it to the CEO, the CFO? What business problem are you solving, and what's the value? I mean, are you helping them save millions of dollars a year? Or are you helping them increase their, booking on sales by, adding 1 or 2%? Are you helping them improving their customer satisfaction or lead time? Now you are able to ship product sooner. I mean, understand the business value that this particular product is adding. And then, come up with a business plan and some estimates in terms of time and money, and double that. to give you some realistic expectations. And have fun with it. I mean, it should be an enjoyable experience. You might not necessarily see it enjoyable at the time, but maybe a few years later, if you're successful, you look back and you treasure those moments. Definitely try it. I can't be employable now. The constraints to work with them, the company as an employee, is just.
Just can't do it.
Can't do it. But you need to learn. You need to go through that learning process. Just jumping out of college and trying to get into business, I think that could be a mistake. Yeah, some few people are successful, but you really need to go pay your dues. Learn the process. Learn the real world examples. Build network. Understand how to message your product. Who are they? Understand the different people. Definitely you need the good reputations, good ethics. That always pays off, big time. So.
Okay, well, Ziad? That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'd like to thank you for coming out this evening and sharing your experience.
Thankfully, I'm rather just able to be successful with it. But if anybody really happy to help, and anybody wants to reach out, advice, consultations.
Thank you.